Hi there, Daily Gardeners. We are in the home stretch of the Reviews for Good campaign over at podchaser.com. And I just wanted to take a quick second to recognize the folks who have left reviews for the show. This is our latest batch of reviews. And I just wanted to give a heartfelt thanks to Julie Sergey and Sarah Lee. Thank you both so much for leaving a review for the show over at Podchaser. You know, every time a listener leaves a review for the show and then I respond to that review during the month of April, Podchaser is donating 50 cents to World Central Kitchen. And that's the organization that's providing meals to people fleeing Ukraine. So it's a great cause. If you've been meaning to head over to Podchaser and leave a review so that it can be part of the Reviews for Good campaign, set aside a couple of minutes. It doesn't take long. If you have a chance, please consider leaving a review for the Daily Gardener over at podchaser.com. It's so easy to do, and so much good can come from it. Today's episode is brought to you by the Daily Gardener Friday newsletter. You can sign up for the newsletter over at thedailygardener.org. Hi there and welcome to The Daily Gardener, a podcast about garden history and literature. I'm your host, Jennifer Ebling, and today is April 27th. I can't believe we're almost done with April. Well, today in garden history, we celebrate the birth of the Scottish poet, writer, and songwriter Charles MacKay, who was born on this day, April 27th in 1814. In the collected songs of Charles MacKay, Charles wrote an adorable song about the humble meadow sweet. And the lyrics go like this: Rose, we love thee for thy splendor, lily for thy queenly grace, violet for thy lowly merit, peeping from thy shady place. But mine airy woodland fairy, scattering odors at thy feet, no one knows thy modest beauty. No one loves thee, meadow sweet. And today we celebrate the birthday of Alice Morse Earle, the American historian and author. She was born on this day, April 27th in 1851. Alice wrote 2 garden books, Old Time Gardens, that came out in 1901, and Sundials and Roses of Yesterday, that debuted the following year. Alice once observed, farm children have little love for nature and are surprisingly ignorant about wildflowers, save a few varieties. But the child who is garden bred has a happier start in life, a greater love and knowledge of nature. And regarding the peony, Alice once wrote, she always looks like a well-dressed, well-shod, well-gloved girl of birth, breeding, and of equal good taste and good health. And today we also celebrate the California landscape architect Thomas Dolliver Church, who always went by Tommy. He was born on this day, April 27th in 1902. Tommy pioneered the modern California style of design, and in 1955, Tommy wrote about garden design, and he said, "When your garden is finished, I hope it will be more beautiful than you anticipated, require less care than you expected, and have cost only a little more than you had planned." Unlike people, gardens never strive for perpetual youth. They want to look old from the day they were born. Their greatest glory comes with maturity. I love that quote. All right, and today we also celebrate the birthday of Cecil Day Lewis, the Irish-born British poet who was born on this day, April 27th in 1904. Cecil was the poet laureate for 4 years before his death in 1972, and he's also the father of the actor Daniel Day-Lewis. Cecil used the pen name Nicholas Black for his mystery stories. And in Cecil's 1938 book called Overtures to Death and Other Poems, he wrote this little verse. In June we picked the clover and seashells in July. There was no silence at the door, no word from the sky. A hand came out of August and flicked his life away. We had not time to bargain, mope, moralize, or pray. It's time to grow that garden library with today's book, The Food Forest Handbook by Darrell Fry and Michelle Zolba. This book came out in 2017, and the subtitle is Design and Manage a Home-Scale Perennial Polyculture Garden. Well, I have to say, before I even get started with my review, that this book gets high praise on Amazon. It's a 5-star book, and the authors are passionate about growing food year-round without fossil fuels and increasing biodiversity on the land and wild market gardening. And Darrell and Michelle point out in the introduction to their book that the food forest is one of the oldest ways to garden. It's the edges of the forest that were the most fruitful places for both hunting and gathering. And today, food forests are making a comeback. Now, you might be asking yourself, what is a food forest? Well, a food forest is simply a food-producing garden that's built around trees and perennials. And I've been a passionate fan of orchards and mini orchards for the past couple of years. In fact, I'm installing one up at my cabin, and I'm planting even more trees this spring. Darrell and Michelle point out that a well-managed food forest is an integrated system, and it includes all kinds of plants, fruits, vegetables, herbs, medicinal plants, and plantings that promote beneficial insects and balance nutrients. And in case you're starting to feel a little overwhelmed, don't be, because these food forests can be simple and include only a few species, or they can contain a myriad of plants. But the bottom line here is that Darrell and Michelle are going to help you feel confident and inspired to create your own food forest, whether on a small or grand scale in your backyard, front yard, patio, or allotment. This book is 256 pages of planning, designing, and managing your very own food forest. You can get a copy of The Food Forest Handbook by Darrell Fry and Michelle Zolba and support the show using the Amazon link in today's show notes for around $20. Timely book. All right, we end the show today with a botanic spark that celebrates the birthday of Edwin George Morgan, the Scottish poet and translator. He was born on this day, April 27th in 1920. Edwin was part of the Scottish Renaissance, and he's remembered as the first Glasgow Poet Laureate. In 1968, Edwin humorously wrote, "Yes, it is too cold in Scotland for flower people. In any case, who would be handed a thistle?" Well, that's it for today's show. Thanks for listening to The Daily Gardener. And just a reminder that you have a standing invitation to join the free Facebook group for listeners of the show. The next time you're over at Facebook, just search for Daily Gardener Community, where you'd search for a friend and then request to join. And if you'd like more of The Daily Gardener, you can subscribe to the newsletter over at thedailygardener.org. And don't forget that you can also show your support for the show by using the Buy Me a Coffee link over at the website or in today's show notes. This is Jennifer Ebling. Thanks for listening to The Daily Gardener. And remember, for a happy, healthy life, garden every day.